talk about the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 750.
A milestone.
A true milestone. Probably the most important episode we've had.
I know, that's probably true.
Ever.
Wow. That is fair.
Insidious, Behind the Green Door.
It's a very different movie.
That's whenever I think of Behind the Green Door, I think of Cannonball Run.
Why?
Because the two Chinese race car drivers, one of whom was Jackie Chan.
Yeah, that's right. His first American role, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was, and this lasts for a long time. Yeah. He was like, F this.
No.
I'm not coming over here to do this.
No, thank you.
He's like, I'm a legit action star, and you guys can suck it.
Have you seen Police Story?
Right.
Good Lord.
But they had a TV in their car, right? Because they're Chinese, so they know technology.
Sure.
Right? And they were watching Behind the Green Door on it. So.
Wow.
That's
it. I don't even know what Behind the Green Door is.
It's a very famous porno from the 70s.
Is it the first interracial?
I don't know why it's so famous, to be honest.
They're watching a porno in Cannonball Run.
I mean, you don't see.
I know, but
you just see the credits say Behind the Green
That's
Door.
funny.
To me, it's like Debbie Does Dallas, Deep Throat, Behind the Green Door.
I would think it would go Deep Throat, Debbie Does Dallas, Behind the Green Door.
Okay.
Like,
never heard of
I'm not going to say influential, but
influential.
but it like
porn that
Deep Throat
people
was
who
like
didn't know porn would know about.
Yeah, but Deep Throat was like played in like legit theaters, right?
I think it did eventually.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
And this is how you know the movie sure is a good one to talk about.
Hang on. To the Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think it did. And then the lead actress like disowned it.
Yeah. Linda Lovelace.
Linda Lovelace, yeah. Not Marilyn Chambers.
But she made a lot of porn. Because she actually, there's a porno she's in called Linda Lovelace for President.
Oh, really?
Which stars is overstating it.
Yeah.
But has Mickey Dolenz in it.
What?
Now, he's not doing it.
He's not that's not a Sylvester Stallone situation.
He just happens to be in the movie.
That's hilarious.
Because porn had become fairly mainstream.
Yeah.
Oh my
People would be like, hey, you want to be in this porno? Yeah, all right.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Sure. So, Behind the Green Door is a 1972 American feature-length pornographic film widely considered one of the genre's classic pictures.
See?
Influential.
And one of the films that ushered in the golden age of porn.
I did not know where that was going to go.
Which has not ended to this very day. Featuring Marilyn Chambers, who became a mainstream celebrity. It was one of the first hardcore films widely released in the United States and the first feature-length film directed by the Mitchell brothers.
Oh.
Perfect.
It was adapted from an anonymous short story.
I bet it was.
Of the same title, which was
anonymous short story.
Which was circulated by means of carbon copies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the story's title makes reference to the 1956 hit song Green Door, whose lyrics describe being denied entry to a raucous nightclub with a green door. Though she plays the film's central character, Chambers does not have a single word of dialogue in the film.
I couldn't get her SAG card.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Does count?
Gagging noises count as dialogue? The film is possibly the first U.S. feature-length heterosexual hardcore film to include an interracial scene.
Yeah.
Wow, you know your history.
I know my pornos.
Yeah. Joe knows his pornos.
Yeah.
Porn Joes.
Oh, trademark it. That's a T-shirt.
No,
Yeah, absolutely.
no. You
Don't make this mistake, Kevin. This is the mistake the MPAA made, right? They created the ratings, right? And then
Didn't trademark?
They didn't they trademarked. Do you not know this story?
No.
Oh, wow. So we're actually going to give you real film history.
Yes.
They used to have like the first rating system was like M for mature, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then they segued into what we have today, essentially, which was G, PG, R, and X.
X,
right? And they didn't.
Is it Midnight Cowboy?
Midnight Cowboy is the only X-rated movie ever to win an Oscar.
Yeah. Okay.
Although if you watch it today, you're like,
It's
what?
not.
and
It's like watching.
it got an X basically because they alluded to the fact that a guy sucked it.
You don't see it though. It's just alluded.
You see
to.
him like go down, his head goes out of
okay.
frame, and
Yeah, it's ridiculous to be rated X. Also, one of the greatest films ever made.
Oh,
I came late to
it's all right.
I think it's a great film. I came late to the game. It was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I think I told you, Tom, after watching, like, this movie's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they trademarked all the ratings, right? Except for X, because they didn't want to be associated with with the dirty pictures,
dirty stuff.
right?
So what does that mean?
What that means is you cannot declare your movie PG without their approval. But because they didn't trademark X, anybody can say their movie is X-rated.
So they can just advertise X-rated.
This is an X-rated movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they completely lost control of
what that meant.
of the X rating, right? Because if you think about it, like that's where you have triple X.
I was going to
comes from,
say
right?
triple
exactly
X is...
Nobody like they don't, which was just a marketing tool to say, oh, this isn't just dirty. It's triple dirty.
It's so dirty. We
Right.
added 2 more X's.
Right.
Interesting.
Because you don't see that with any. Like it's not like come see Bambi. It's triple G.
No, I always thought that X-rated was a film, and then triple X was just straight porn. Like I
And
thought it was.
that's the way it started.
I always
Yeah.
thought of triple X as being porn, but X-rated was like, oh, this movie's too extreme for.
Well, porn
Yeah.
is very,
which is what
very
they
extreme.
want you to think.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly what they want you to think.
Yeah.
But no, they basically by not trademarking the X because they didn't want to be affiliated, they wanted to have this tool in their toolbox, but they didn't want to sully their own names. They didn't copyright it, and now if you make a movie and to call it a PG movie, they will sue you.
Yes.
Like you have
Right.
to put it through their submission.
It's got to go
process.
through their stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
it makes sense. See, that's why I didn't trademark real spoilers. I didn't want to be associated with it.
yeah, how'd that go?
Well, all's well that ends well.
That's right.
So, shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast.
Spreaker by Ryan Reynolds.
If only. Wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode, and maybe leave us a review. That's always helpful and appreciated. You can also find
Joe, do we have any?
No.
you can
We
also,
sure don't.
You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/real spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. You know, the easiest thing you can do to help us, doesn't cost you a dime, is share an episode in your social media feed, whichever one of the 400 that now exists.
Share it on your threads.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blue
I haven't
Sky,
started
I don't
tracking threads yet, so
Oh, Blue
What is-
Sky, that will be gone before it's here.
What is that?
It's a Jack Dorsey, St. Louis's own,
Oh.
who created Twitter, left Twitter, and sold it and did all that stuff. And he started his own Twitter too, basically sold it. I mean, smartest idea ever. It's like if someone wants to buy our podcast for millions of dollars, okay, we'll start
Done.
movie guy pod. It could be
done and done.
Just do it again. So he started Blue Sky, but it's invite only.
I saw
so
that.
It's very elite, and people can invite their own people. Well, Threads, which is owned by Meta, which is Facebook,
Okay.
70 million subscribers in less than 48
my
hours.
God.
And Blue Sky's sitting over here invite only. I mean, I don't want another app.
No.
Threads totally came in and was just like, yeah, everyone who wants it, just go ahead and do it. I mean, can you imagine when Blue Sky comes out, people are going to be like, what? No. I mean, it just seems so
Dorsey's
stupid.
just like, God damn it.
I just don't know why they wouldn't have opened it up earlier, especially if they caught wind. Like
The only thing I can think is they don't think they have the technological
yet.
infrastructure yet.
And Meta is like,
the
we're-
reason
we got it.
Because I will say with Threads, I mentioned this to my wife when it was only at 30 million. I was like, I think most new social media platforms, if they had that influx, would implode.
Sure. 30 million's a lot of people.
I was
using
like, and they're basically just a division of Instagram,
Yeah.
which you can tell when you set up your account.
Oh, okay.
But
You can only have an account if you have Instagram.
I thought you could create one from scratch, but
I think it creates an Instagram account
Oh,
for
does
you.
it?
I
Okay.
believe that it's all ran on an
it's
Instagram.
on the bones of Instagram.
Yeah, I believe so.
And so because of that, it can handle that influx where I don't think the average company
a
could
new
just
a new app, a new.
But it's
service.
just like, well, they might have wanted to figure. I mean, how much value did they just lose by not figuring out how to get more servers
Right.
or whatever?
Yeah.
Because when it comes out, I mean, again, like for me, I use Facebook mainly only for the show, and I use Twitter. I don't ever use Instagram. It's a pain. Now I'm trying to use Threads, like to get a fifth one that I don't use. You know, and I've got Hive and all the
Right.
not Twitter ones that
What's
everyone
Hive?
the when Twitter was crashing, people were experimenting with this might be the one that takes over, but Threads came in and just that's the one.
Yeah, Threads
Yeah.
is like never mind.
I mean, it works really well and everything, but the only thing that sucks is giving more power to Meta and
Right.
Zuckerberg. Facebook's already so huge, Instagram is huge, and now to have basically Twitter be a Twitter owned by
Right.
Meta. I mean, they're
Yeah,
controlling
people that
all.
are, it's weird how people are like, "Yay, Mark Zuckerberg!" It's kind of like
That alien
like,
weirdo.
"Oh, I'm so tired of this Hitler." Thank you, Stalin.
yeah, it's not a good thing for a tech company to have because I mean, have you
Or
seen?
meanwhile, Mussolini.
yeah, right.
He's invite only.
Right, yeah.
Over there,
He's
like,
like,
God
no,
dang it.
I mean, screwed this up.
Have you seen that documentary that came out a few years ago about social media and like the psychological impact it has
Yeah.
on people? And I mean, that's why Paul Harris left Facebook because he didn't want to contribute to the Zuckerberg and all that. So I'm sure he's not on Threads. But I mean, it has reprogrammed us and really
Yeah.
screwed with our.
That's so interesting. I mean, I don't. Well,
I mean, you may not even notice it, but like just the impulse to have to check it and if the like feedback and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
oh, I did see that doc.
And
about
not-
the serotonin and
yeah,
like
I
what
mean,
it does to your
everything
brain.
everything
Yeah.
they do is
And it was
programmed.
hosted by like a actor that you see in a lot of stuff. He was in.
Troy McClure.
No, yeah, he might. He was in Mystic Pizza, and
Yeah, I can't think of who it was.
you
but
see him in a lot of stuff.
It was really
He's
good.
Kind of
and-
a little bit of a weird looking dude.
Yeah.
But he's very charismatic. But he's
oh.
odd looking.
But so the thing is, they don't care about you. I mean, besides from selling your data and everything, they want you to keep using the app, and so they're not doing things for your benefit. They're
Right.
doing things to keep you there,
it's-
unhealthy things.
Which is
so-
why all the disinformation and white
Oh, sure.
supremacist stuff took hold, because once you started engaging with it,
the feedback
the
loop.
algorithm
The
doesn't
algorithm's
know. They're
like,
like,
hey.
oh well, if you like this, here's more of it.
Yeah.
You just get more of your echo chamber and more
Yeah.
positive feedback, and you're saying things, and people are liking it. And so, let me just keep
gotta
doing this.
stop
Because if you see my Facebook feed, it's all monkeys and Peloton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I gotta stop talking Snyder Bros. Because now I get
Just
it.
gonna keep
It
popping
keeps
up,
popping
yeah.
up. And I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Any interaction, because that is why all the controversy and when people say something stupid and then people are telling them they're stupid and then other people are like, no, they're right, you're dumb. Like they want you to fight online
Right.
because that keeps people coming back. The happy stuff, I mean, yeah, you like a picture of a puppy and it gets lots of likes, but doesn't get 10 trillion comments.
Yeah, right,
They
right.
want you to fight about Snyder Bros stuff. So if you do that
gotta
stuff,
stop.
they'll just
Sometimes
keep
I can't help it.
I get it, but stop it.
monkeys and
Peloton.
and,
That does sound
liquid,
all right.
Liquid
Death.
That's why I always try to program for Matt Reedy's Facebook. I always tag him and type Liquid Death in the post.
So people who were kind enough to share and not fight with a Snyder Bro,
Yeah.
hopefully this week, include Travis Tewitt, Brendan McGuckin, Lane Levanway, Tammy Lynn Powers, Betts, Julian Jordan, Glenn Cougar Mellon Brewer, Ralph Tribble, Chris Sanders, Chris Falls, Gabriel Lugo, Phil Timon, Jason Weesey, Chris Magic Man, Taylor Ward, Christopher Rex, Josh Rosen, Heather Sachs, Braid 1991, We Have a Hulk, Invasion of the Remake, Paul Der Hagopian, I hope I'm saying that right, Paul. David Rojas, Colby Mack, Binge Movies, Geek to Me Radio, Feel and Film, Spoiler Piece Theater, Ronnie Castle, Ryan Terry, Nostalgia Cast, In Session Film, and Matt Neglia. So thank you very
big
much.
one. Thanks, guys.
It was Indiana Jones.
Indiana
Oh,
Jones.
yeah, that's right.
So thank you very much. Also, don't forget we have a Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content, and we love you long time.
Yes.
So
We hit 300 on YouTube. Yeah,
I think we're over. I think we're over it now.
Well, yeah, we're 1 or 2 or whatever.
302.
But if we get to 1,000, we can monetize. So
Hey, let's do it.
I mean,
700 more to go.
Yeah,
Let's rock and roll.
It's important. I mean, to think about it, we say the things that you can support the show, and that all helps. Patreon's great to when we need the funds and sharing the show to get more listeners. But if you can subscribe on YouTube, it doesn't matter even if you don't watch on YouTube. If you have a YouTube account, if you have a Google account, if you can go on Real Spoilers and subscribe, all we need is that 1,000 number, and then if we get monetized, that will help support the show too.
Big time.
And you don't even have to watch stuff; just subscribe. So all those little things that we ask for, like really, they will help us. I know that it's like they always ask for that, but it will.
It's true.
Yeah,
There's a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
We are DIY to the fullest.
Yeah.
We are. Anyway, there's all that. Let's dig into Insidious Red Door.
Insidious,
okay.
the big snore.
So
This was the most boring,
So boring.
slow.
I think 1 and 2 are fantastic.
Look,
Those are good movies.
I'm not a horror movie but 1 and 2.
Oh, thank you for
I
clarifying.
am not. Yes,
Person. You're
I
a
am,
horror movie person.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
But 1 and 2
man,
are great.
And those are PG-13.
it's a brilliant
I believe
1,
so,
2
yeah.
punch. Yes,
and they're
they are.
really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 1 is really good. 2 is great.
2 is one of those weird ones where you're just like, oh, okay, we're gonna.
Yeah, like I watched 1 and I was, because my stepdaughter wanted to watch it during a brief attempt at bonding, and so I watched 1 and I was like, oh, that was pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I did not expect that to be good, but they did that very well. And then it was like, well, let's roll into the second one, and I'm like, there's no way they do this twice. And then, because especially when it starts, I was like, what are we doing?
Yep.
And then by the end, I was like, well, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
like that. I mean, 2's
Yeah.
better than 1.
I never have seen this 3rd and 4th, and I
So-
honestly don't remember 1 and 2. I remember they're good, but I
Yeah.
could
So
not
3
tell
and
you what.
3 and they definitely. So what happens is they in 1 and 2, it's Josh and Dalton, right? It's Patrick Wilson and the kid from Iron Man 3,
This and who's
Is
still
that-
the
who
kid
is
here?
still the kid here.
Wow, that's the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the same kid,
They
which I
haven't-
appreciate.
I will say I like the fact that they they don't seem to have recast anybody. They
No-
seem to have
no one.
forgotten they
Maybe
have a
the
daughter.
girl.
Well, they
Yeah,
just don't,
that
they
girl
don't-
She doesn't have any purpose.
you just don't see her, right? But
You see her at the funeral,
Yeah.
and then Rose Byrne goes, she's at a friend's house, and we never see her again.
is she no longer a professional actor?
Well, she was a baby in the
Okay.
first one, so
Yeah.
sure.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Yeah, because the brother doesn't seem like he doesn't seem very good.
No.
in this movie, like I like the scenes with him. Like I'm not even trying to bag on him, but I just really
With
got
him-
Younger
with
one at
with
home.
the younger brother.
Where
Yeah.
they call in real quick.
I do like
But
where
it
they kind of give
felt
each other.
like it felt like a brotherly relationship.
It did,
but I
yeah.
also felt like this kid's not a very good actor. Like I felt like he doesn't do it anymore.
No, I think you're right.
Like the guy who plays Dalton.
Yes.
I thought it was funny when he called in.
like
I
2
think
times
it was the
in one
second
day?
time.
Yeah.
When he called in, he said things that did seem very much like little
Right.
brother. And
Like might be the highlight of the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, it's
I was so bored. I dozed off 2 times during this movie.
Yeah.
It's so slow. It does that thing where there's no score again,
Yeah,
but
it
in
was-
a horribly ineffective way where
Yeah.
it's so quiet. Not even to like give you a big jump scare. It's just like, oh, we're not going to score this thing. We're just going to
It was
be
so
completely
weird.
silent.
The lack of music.
Yeah.
It was
considering I think 1 and 2 did something very interesting with their music where it was like those really like screechy high pitched violins is kind of what like their they didn't really have a score but they did have like music. So yeah, 1 and 2 is Josh and Dalton where they're trying to figure it out. 3 is a
Was he in a coma? What was that whole thing?
so he's
so in 1 he's in a coma.
he's in a coma, but really his coma is he's astral
He's
projected
stuck. Okay.
so
He's
far
stuck in the-
away he got stuck.
Yeah, he's stuck in the
he's
folder.
upside down.
He's
Kinda, yes.
He poltergeisted it.
Yes, that's exactly what he did.
He's
and
Carol
then
Ann.
and then in 2, when Patrick Wilson goes into the further to rescue Dalton, something keeps Patrick Wilson there. And when what we don't know at the end of 1, right, is the Patrick Wilson, the Josh that we see is not the real Josh.
That's- I remember there
he's
was something like
he's
that, yeah.
possessed.
Okay.
And then the second movie is possessed Patrick Wilson the entire time, and Dalton has to go into the further and
Right.
bring his dad back.
And like the things that they're doing in the further that they're engaging with is them from the first movie. And so it's really
that is interesting.
It's really smart.
that's James Wan and Lee Winnell.
like,
that's
Who wrote Lee Winnell wrote this one? Too?
he has a story credit.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But you don't
he-
think. But I mean, I
No.
figured that's still extended to like what happens in this movie.
That dude
It's not like
is-
a character's by credit. It's a story.
I think
so-
that dude's way too busy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude,
he's
what
doing
happened after the Invisible? Is the Invisible Man right?
So he yes, and
or is it
then
Invisible Woman? It was Invisible Man.
It was Invisible Man.
It's Invisible Man, but everybody wants to call it the Invisible
Okay.
Woman because it's all about a woman.
Right, I get confused because I'm like,
Which is a fan.
that's so good.
That's such a good movie.
It's a
And it's like,
fantastic
but
movie.
I was started think when I saw Lee Winnell in this one, credits in this one. I go, what happened to that?
Did you
Because-
see him in the movie?
Was he in it?
Yeah.
Who was he?
He's one of the two guys with like the suit and ties.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. So I was starting to wonder, was Invisible Man part of that dark universe thing, and now it's defunct?
No, so the Invisible Man was the rebooted stuff. So what they were going to do, that Invisible Man movie was supposed to reboot the new.
So not the dark universe.
No.
Oh, was Johnny Depp the Invisible Man?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
It was that. Was he going to be?
Yeah, because it was
Yeah, I
like
think so.
Tom Cruise, and they were going to make it like Marvel.
Yeah.
And then that
what a-
failed. So
The Mummy.
that was it.
And
That's as far as they got.
No, didn't they do one other one?
No.
Oh, I guess I was
They
thinking
set
because
up the-
Dr. Jekyll was
Right.
Russell Crowe
And
because
then
they're
never
both
went
in that picture. Oh my
But
gosh.
that Invisible Man was supposed to be the new kickoff.
Let's
but
go.
But they
Let's
weren't going
go.
to do a joined universe. It was going to be there's going to be Universal
But
monsters.
that's okay. Where are they? Let's go. Like that was so good.
Lee
We
Winnell
need-
has been working on the Wolfman.
Okay.
With Ryan Gosling.
Now, a question I have for you: have you heard any rumors? Does the Wolfman have nards?
Yes, he's a man.
I don't know.
Wolves have nards. Men have nards.
They cancel out.
I don't think.
you know?
I don't think he does because Monster Squad was not officially using Universal Monsters.
That is true.
So
See?
if Universal Monster has Wolfman has nards, it's copyright violation.
That's
And-
fair. That's fair.
Nards are-
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It is funny though. Like
Wait,
Also-
T-shirt. Don't forget to copyright your nards.
Yeah.
Trey. That's
Yeah.
ours. Sorry, the lead actor.
That's a good
Because
T-shirt.
that's a good T-shirt.
don't forget to copyright your
don't forget to
nards.
copyright the nards. But like, I don't think anybody else does the bipedal Wolfman, because American Werewolf in London is the dog version, like
Right.
on all fours. I think Universal's the only one.
You're talking about no other Wolfman walks around?
I don't think so. Not on two legs.
Oh, what about all the Universal ones?
It's all Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney Jr. is the Wolfman
He's walking around.
on two legs always.
Yeah.
But the American
Even
Werewolf in London,
Abbott and Costello Meet Frank.
he is,
Yeah.
is a wolf. Like
Okay.
it's a giant wolf. I
Yeah.
don't. Oh man, that's a good question.
Interesting.
But I wonder if like Universal's like no,
Teen
no,
Wolf.
that's totally on two legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about
also Michael Landon in I was a teenage werewolf. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
what's
true.
is Michael J. Fox?
He is not okay. This is so weird.
That's Wolfman.
He's not
right?
he's not a werewolf.
What is he?
He's a cat.
What?
I'm not making
He's a
that
cat?
up. Yes.
What Teen Wolf is about a cat?
No, the Michael J. Jackson video, the Thriller video.
Oh, he's
Thriller's a cat?
I thought he said Michael J. Fox.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf is absolutely on two legs,
Okay.
and he has sex in that movie.
But Michael,
as the
in
wolf.
Thriller,
Yeah,
he's
wolf
a cat.
style.
Yeah.
Wolfie style.
Thriller, he's a
yes, he's a cat.
werecat?
He's a werecat.
And what's the other one?
I don't think Michael Jackson was very aware of
No, he was not. What was the other one? What?
There was another wolf one where
Jack Nicholson. It's just called Wolf,
wolf.
but he doesn't really wolf out. He has like wolf tendencies where he pees on that guy for no
What
reason.
about that wolf that goes like awooga and like stomps his feet and he's at a nightclub?
that is definitely a Tex Avery cartoon. Yes. Mimicked by The Mask in 1994. Yeah, so like these so 3 and 4
I saw
are
3.
prequels.
I never saw 4. The biggest mistake this franchise made was killing the chick.
killing Lynn Shaye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like they did not think they were going to be making more of these.
No.
So they killed her. And
like,
then they
They
were
kill her
like
earlier?
They killed
her
her
in
in the first movie.
Oh.
first movie or second movie?
I thought they killed her in the first movie, and then that's why that second movie is in such a tight time crunch because they wanted to still have her.
Sure,
and
sure,
then they were
sure.
like, "Well, now what?" So then they started doing prequels.
Yes. So 3 and 4 are prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About what?
About
What-
Lynn Shaye's character.
Okay.
So you know who we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they go back.
Because 3 is about connects up to Josh as a boy.
Yes.
right?
And 3 actually is directed by Lee Winnell,
Okay.
I
Oh, okay.
think. And then
Because
4,
that's how they get important people back. They let them direct the movies,
exactly
even if they're not capable,
See,
like
okay,
Patrick
like-
Wilson.
So I don't totally agree with that. I think this movie starts off. Okay, so we know at the end of 2 that this doctor makes Dalton and Josh forget what they are able to do to keep them safe. we flash forward 9 years later. I like the idea,
I like the idea.
but it is poorly, and I don't think it's Patrick Wilson's fault. I think the
also
script
like
is
the
real
idea
bad.
of communism, but it doesn't work.
I think it is. I agree. It is very
This
boring.
is stretched so thin. Okay,
Yeah.
the plot of this movie, the reason why we're 25 minutes in and haven't started yet, the plot of this movie
Well, we
is...
did that on Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
too. We were
Don't
45
worry.
minutes in.
No, we had technical issues, so that wasn't
No,
really
we were
true to
45 minutes into the episode before we started talking about the movie.
I watched it. Yeah, Tom's right.
Oh. Well, I got nothing for you then.
Well, this is the thing: is I think the problem that this movie has is they have I don't remember what year. I mean, the last one may have been 10 years ago, maybe.
Roughly. Yeah.
So, and they have gotten away from Josh and Dalton. They've gotten away from these characters, and they started to pivot to these other characters. When you bring them back, and I do like the idea that because they have been Dalton and Josh have been forced to forget this whole thing, that there is a rift. Like, and as Patrick Wilson's character is getting older, right, his brain isn't going to work the same. So I do like the idea that there is a strife, and that
the premise behind this movie makes sense.
There's
Yes.
no
And
problem with the premise.
Normally, I don't like the idea of like we waved a magic wand and you forgot things.
Right.
I allow it in this franchise because it's based on that concept.
Right,
Like
right.
because the whole idea was Josh has these same talents or skills or whatever, and he had them as a boy, and they had to bring in the Lin Shaye character
to like disastrous effects.
and then they made him forget it all. So when it starts with his son, he's completely unaware that this is a thing he's already gone
Right,
through,
right.
And so like I liked all that. And so so when this movie opens with like we're making you forget, like it didn't feel like a plot device because it's baked in.
It's been there
to the
before.
DNA.
I
of
like
this.
the idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on board. It's like, okay, cool. 9
Yeah.
years later, let's see how they're dealing with it. But I cannot think of one scary moment that blew me away in this movie. Like, there was no really good imagery or monsters
So
or
I
creepiness.
think I like the gimmick in the MRI machine, where just like I like the idea of like, you know, I've been in those multiple times.
Yeah.
You can't
I
get
like
out.
the idea. It didn't even look good, though.
Yeah.
It was a very
effect was
weird-
horrible.
Agreed. Like the film itself, it's a good setup.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't really pay off.
When that thing comes creeping at the weird choppy whatever, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what is happening?
Which is
It
also
looks-
strange because that's not been I don't think that was a thing in the other movies. I don't think they did like that herky jerky.
yeah, I don't know what the deal was. With
don't
the
remember. It's been a
motion.
while.
Yeah, but I also like there are moments where Josh has dropped Dalton off at college, and he's sitting in his car.
He's divorced from Rose Byrne.
Yeah,
now.
so because which is also like Rose Byrne, I'm like, you're kind of the cause of all this. Like you're the reason you're.
Oh, we're gonna get letters.
I'm not wrong. Like she can. Okay, now hold on a second. Her husband and her son have gone. The whole family has gone through this horrible thing, right? What they forget to tell you is that Josh does try to kill everybody.
Oh, well,
right.
that
like,
is-
like
yeah,
Shining
that's-
style, right? So they put them under and make them forget this entire thing. As time goes on, and Rose Byrne's character notices that something's wrong with Josh, rather than sticking with him and try to like work through this with him, she's like, I'm out. And it's like, you know what happened. You know why he's like, and he can't figure it out. He doesn't know what's wrong with his brain. You know what's wrong with his brain, and you're not helping him.
Do you think they said?
But how do you help him?
I don't know.
Right?
But
So
I don't have that answer.
Do you think that the real reason though is they said, Rose Byrne, can you film for one day?
yes.
Yes, I do.
That and credit. I mean, I know usually the and is an important credit, but when she's the last credit and it says and Rose Byrne, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. And that was an
And
afterthought.
she's like a major, like she's the third lead.
I thought it was so weird. Like do they not advertise this movie as her being like a part of the movie? Because she's at the beginning and she's at the end.
Probably not. I mean, the story
But
is
she's on the poster, right? Like,
Well,
it's not
it's
like
Rose
it's like
Byrne.
I mean, yeah, right. Like they're selling this movie like it's Rose Byrne. I don't know. I didn't see a trailer, but like they advertise this movie as having Rose Byrne. Like technically, they're not lying, but wow, I thought she was going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I think that was the hard part for me, where I was like, you know what happened to his brain.
I see what you're saying though. Is it's like I know it's very difficult for everyone, but like what can he do?
Right.
And then to be like, well, this sucks.
See ya.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
So yeah, there is the scene where he's in the car and there is like a figure behind him, and I do like that it's like the figure's getting closer and closer and closer, and it's out of focus just a little bit. I think some of the shots are really
I like
good.
the idea, but then it's not scary.
Right.
Like it's not even creepy or eerie. It's
I think it
just
is
like,
creepy and eerie, but there is no delivery.
But
I think chunks of this movie wanted to be Hereditary.
Oh.
you
I
think
never
maybe
even
he was
thought
trying
of that.
I do think that Patrick Wilson said, okay, I'm directing this thing. I'm going to try to make this artsy.
Right.
This is a movie that deals with generational trauma, deals with PTSD and that kind of thing. And I think he tried to get a little too artsy with it. There's nothing wrong with trying to deal with that stuff, but the movie ends up not being profound and artistic. It's boring.
Yeah.
But can you put that at Patrick Wilson or the writer?
Well, I think the director can be like, we need to do this to liven it up a little bit.
Okay.
I think that whoever, I mean, it looked fine, I don't know who the cinematographer was, but like his directing skills, the technical skills were not bad. Like the movie looked like a competent film, but he is the director telling people to deliver their lines and to direct the action. And
that's fair.
It just, I think he could have said, this isn't working. We need to whatever. And it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
This reminds me a lot of the last Conjuring movie, where it's just like, what are we doing?
I didn't
Like,
see that.
It's not. Okay. I'm starting to like kind of turn on those movies a little bit, only because of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Because they're trash.
I mean, he was a child molester. He had like
They're
like,
hucksters.
They're awful.
They're dead now, right?
Yes.
Is she dead?
Yeah, I believe so. She wasn't when the first one came out, but I think she's died.
Okay.
They're both
since
dead.
then.
But they're awful people. And
I didn't realize they were that.
They are terrible.
I knew they were scam artists, but con.
Yeah, he had like a
people, but-
14-year-old girl living with him and whatever.
Oh, jeez.
But those first two movies are really good.
They are. They're insanely well done haunted house movies.
Yeah.
And Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are off the charts good.
Yeah.
Like their charisma together is good.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
great on screen, but the Warrens aren't heroes in real life. you
Right.
know?
It's weird
Like,
if you base the characters off of people and then all that stuff comes out. It's
Right.
hard to.
But there's just a weird tone to that last Conjuring movie that doesn't feel like the other ones. It's just off some. And I think this is the same way. I think this is a paint by numbers from the first movie. We're doing the same. By the time Dalton gets, at the end of this movie, Dalton's stuck in the further and Patrick Wilson's going to rescue him.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it's the same
It's
thing.
like the same thing, but not interesting. There's no, like in the first one, there's that creepy red-faced demon
Which
thing,
is, he's
right?
here.
Yeah, but
It does not have
what
the,
effect?
Does not have the same
So I'm
effect.
saying, like,
Yes, I
like
agree
they're
with
like,
you.
oh, remember that red-faced guy that was from the thing? But like,
I will say, as much as I love the first two, that demon thing is ridiculous.
The look of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The character design of that is like...
It's great.
It's so dumb.
but it is creepy.
It's not
though.
creepy.
I mean,
it's like
I think it is pretty creepy.
it's like third tier 80s heavy metal album cover. It's bad.
But I think it's used to effect in the movie where
it's the kind of
it's
thing
unsettling.
the mildly talented stoner kid in your geometry class
on the back
would
of his
draw.
binder.
Yeah, on the back of his trapper keeper.
I will say that jump scare in the first one, I will go down saying it's one of the top 5 jump scares of all
There
time.
you go. See?
It's a fantastic jump scare.
And what was the best? Name off the best jump scares in this movie.
The dad running through the window. I don't know.
Yeah, the window one was good. There was another one that did really get
Did
me.
it?
Yeah,
Oh, maybe I was sleeping at that point.
Yeah,
I feel like it was with.
forget
I
what
feel
was.
like it was with Dalton, maybe in the classroom, or maybe he was when he was drawing the door for the first time. There was
Yeah.
something there. But yes, there was.
But there's nothing about this movie where I would be like, "Oh, this is such a creepy movie. I got to."
Oh no,
you know what I
not
mean? It
definitive.
just,
I mean,
yeah.
and also like jump scares are
It's a cheap thrill.
they're cheap anyway.
It's a
right?
roller
Like,
coaster.
yeah,
But
like
you know, if
it's-
they set them up right, I can give them props if they do things that are you're not expecting to
Yeah.
set them up, and with the score. If it's just a loud noise, I've been on record where you're cheating. If you just do a loud noise, well, anyone's going to jump like it's
Right.
physically. Let me send this through your body. You're in a theater.
yeah,
like,
it's like yes, I have reflexes.
reflex, right?
Yeah.
So I just think this is really boring. And so the plot of this movie is Dalton is going to college.
Yes.
Josh is going to take him. Originally, the mom was, but she's like, "Why don't you take
Well, we
him?
should say
I'm
that-
only in this movie for 10 minutes."
Barbara Hershey, who was a major character, well, a sub-major character in
she's
1 and 2.
sizable.
She played Josh's mom.
Yeah.
If you've
They
never
killed
seen
her
the,
off.
never see The Entity, I highly recommend that from 1982. Yeah, they kill her off. I was like, well, that's all right. Like,
Yeah.
not even whatever. And that brings our family back together. Like you said, Dalton's going to college. Rose Byrne is like, you should take him. And he's like, no, he doesn't really want me to take him. She's like, you're the parent. And it's like, oh, you're not wrong, Rose Byrne.
I liked the on-screen text messaging. Sometimes it's really bad. I like the way they
Hey,
visualize the iPhone on the screen.
I like that more and more.
Yeah.
I don't
they've
need to look
gotten
at your
into a-
screen phone. Your
Yeah,
phone screen.
yeah, they've gotten to a really good point where they float it up there and make it interesting. And they do like with the speech, the bubbles, the typing, and it goes away. I just thought it looked good. I
I
mean,
will
that's-
also say, in the beginning of this movie, we've talked about it with Stephen King, right? Where when people that
did
don't
you watch the Maximum Overdrive?
yes,
Oh man,
so great.
I
love that. So he is coked out of his
Yes.
mind.
They do at Alamo. They do the trailers that are like associated.
I gotta
inside.
tell you though, couldn't figure those trailers out for the
Oh my
life
gosh.
of me.
I need to find Death Brunch or whatever. That was the craziest looking, most hilarious.
A little
I
short
want it.
film or something.
Yeah.
So what we've said a billion times is people who don't understand Stephen King and adapt Stephen King, they go straight for the horror.
Right.
You know?
And that's the mistake.
Always,
His
right?
books are
he-
all about characters.
Characters.
when
Yeah.
you've got a 700-page book,
Yeah.
it's not just
Yeah.
scares,
Right.
right? So I do think the beginning of this, I'll even give them the first 30 minutes, is reestablishing these characters
Yeah.
and building their relationships together.
But there's no decent payoff.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Like, I don't
I
begrudge
agree.
the movie putting its pieces on the chessboard and
Yeah.
getting
Do you live
things
here?
set up.
I hope.
Yes. Like, that was a weird line. Like, what do you mean?
What? What's your name? Josh Skywalker. That's all I
But
could
it's
think
like,
of.
I hope. Like, you've got your own place. Like, you're living with your
He's
mom.
saying he thinks
He said he
he's back
wants to get back together.
She invited him for dinner. They're back.
That's not how that works.
I
but
know,
all right.
but that's I know. Like it's such a stretch where it's like it gave him so much hope, and I'm like, dude,
Yeah, she's just saying come over early.
she was
Slow
being
your
nice. Like
roll.
yeah.
Rose Byrne has a date.
Now
That's
I
what
hope I
happened.
live here. Like what? Okay, so
yeah,
Josh
so
takes him to college.
And it's very contentious. And
that
I will
roommate
say,
is the best part of the movie.
Yes,
she is
agreed.
the most entertaining, most
Yeah.
charismatic, best part. The humor all worked.
it is strange. Like, her character, which I have no problem with,
Yeah.
is like in a different movie.
I know.
The entire time.
She's like,
and I
need
wish
some-
we were seeing that movie.
She's like, can we have something entertaining in
Yeah,
this movie?
right.
Okay, she'll be the
So
entertaining
if-
part.
when she's there.
She was so fun. I liked her funny writing.
Yeah, and also when we go to the frat house,
Yeah.
and I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Tony or whatever.
Yeah, like
his
this
name
is not.
That was weird.
It's
wasn't
so weird to think of like this is not an Insidious movie, but like this whole scene is out of something from a '90s college.
Well, and it was so
Trashy
weird
comedy.
when you're in the middle of this party and this guy stops and gives some sort of right-wing stump speech.
That
Yeah.
was so
and I'm like,
freaking weird.
nobody at the party would be listening to this.
Let's
dude.
put a
I was
commentary
in a
on.
fraternity. I saw people try to do this, and it never worked. Like,
No.
nobody ever listened to these. They were just like, whatever, dude.
Well,
like,
but just kind of what happened, right? Like everybody's looking at, it, and I love
but they
that.
wouldn't even stop talking.
Yeah.
sure.
to look at him.
I love that one guy who's like, "Woo!"
Yeah,
He's like, yeah,
plus
thanks,
they're
buddy.
chanting his name like they love him.
Right.
Like it's supposed to be that like the people in this fraternity love this.
Yeah,
dude.
it's like he's
Why
what's
why
his
were
name
they
from-
shoehorning this toxic masculinity plot line in this movie that's not
in my
about
head? I
that?
was like, "Oh, that guy's gonna die."
yeah.
I mean,
Like,
what
that's
he
where
was,
we're
I
going.
mean, what they were doing. I mean, that's fine that they're trying to say this guy's ridiculous and frat culture and all that's bad and stuff. But like, why in this movie? Why?
I don't know.
This movie is not about that.
No.
it
Yeah.
doesn't hang. That's the one time they ever mention anything about that. Is him being like, "This is the last place that men can be men," and no one cheers. And it's like, okay, but what?
Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like that's the direct. Well, maybe it's Patrick Wilson commenting on like because nobody responds to him. Like that's the commentary. It's
It
like
is,
this guy
but
gets up there, but then it's just like, why is this
it did
here?
not? It just
And again,
was really
I'm
weird.
not going to blame Patrick Wilson. That's a scene that's written in the movie. Now he could say, "We're taking that out."
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of control over that.
So he drives into school, drops him off. He
Right.
gets a roommate, Chris.
Well,
who
we
happens
should like
to
when Patrick Wilson drops him off. Dalton starts hanging pictures up, and there's a picture of his grandma and his family, and Patrick Wilson does have a pretty good line where he's like, "I guess I didn't make the wall," and you know Dalton's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you tried to beat me with a baseball bat, like you didn't make the wall."
So does he? He doesn't remember
He
any
doesn't
of that.
remember.
Though?
He
Okay.
remembers the coma, like.
Okay.
But I guess the other kids do.
Where they were around. It was 9 years.
I don't
They're
think
very
so.
little, if anything.
I don't think they remember.
The little brother definitely like has a reaction to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they see things and it like starts to trigger memories, but I
Oh.
don't think that like the brother knew this and was hiding it.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because he
Pretty
does
sure.
say, well, he says to Dalton, he says, when Dalton's like, tell me about the coma. And he's like, man, the way he says, he's like, you need to talk to mom.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like the brother does remember that it wasn't a coma. But he's like, it's not my place to tell you, which I got to tell you, in my opinion, the brother would be like, hey man,
Yeah.
they're lying to you, you know?
But there's very contentious.
The other thing that I did like is Dalton. Sometimes I was thinking of the gal from The Whale.
Hong Chow?
No, the daughter.
Oh, okay.
What's the daughter's name? The gal from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
How irritating she was
Yeah.
as a teenager. Dalton can come off as very irritating. That character could,
But he also
plays it really well.
when the mom says how's the drive going and he goes types terrible and then deletes it and says fine. Like
Yeah.
he's not a little
No.
you know,
Yeah.
he really is trying and he's irritated. His dad has like abandoned them, and so he has the right to be mad, and it's not that he's just a jerk kid. It's like no, he's
also got a year of his life has been taken away from him that he doesn't remember. And I do like that line too where she's like, tell me something weird about you. He's like, I have no memory of when I was 10. I was like, God dang. But yeah, so they go to college and Josh has this reflection where he's like, I got to figure this out. Like, I'm not okay. Everybody can tell that I'm not okay, so I need to figure this out. And he's conversating with Dalton because it does feel like they have this bond, but they don't know they have it. But they, it's like they just keep coming back to each other. So Josh goes to
his roommate is Chris,
Right.
and so they put it's that
good-
mix up.
I like
they do
that.
that. They've
Yeah.
done it before. It's not like the first, but they mix up the room assignments. Oh, it's a girl because her name is Chris, but she's played by Sinclair Daniel. You cannot click her on Wikipedia, so she must be fairly
dang.
new.
Yeah.
But she's good, and she
It
deserves.
is. I will say though, I don't think they would put a boy and a girl in a dorm at the same.
No,
Well,
they
that's
didn't.
they're
That's the
saying
whole
that
mix-up.
it was a gender mix-up
Chris.
because her name is Chris.
Okay, I thought they were saying like
Now, Joe, let's dive into this.
No.
You don't think they'd put a guy and a girl together?
I
in a room?
don't.
That's interesting.
I work on a college campus and I know for a fact.
Yeah, that's
No,
the whole
and she
mix-up,
makes
yeah.
a joke about it being a liberal arts school, like.
keyword liberal.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
but I will
She's
say
fun.
my stepdaughter was confused by that as well. She was like, "Oh, I thought that they were just saying that that's the kind of school." it
That's
is."
what I thought,
and I
too.
was like, "No, they don't actually
She's
foster
joking.
rapes. They
But-
turn a blind eye, but they don't encourage."
no,
it.
they won't. They
Yeah.
won't let you go to the
But,
press. Right?
and then the next day she moves to the room above. If I hear you slapping your meat or whatever, like it's so funny.
her dialogue
her
is
lines are great.
out of a different movie, and that's okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
want to
is
be
okay.
in that movie.
So really, what happens is the Dalton.
He saw a red door and he wants to paint it black.
That's
The whole premise is based on.
But okay. Also, the red door has been a thing since the beginning of this movie. The
so this is
beginning
a
of the
callback?
series. The red door
evil
has been
comes
a
from
thing.
a red door.
Yeah,
and he
that-
doesn't know why he's drawing.
He doesn't
this-
remember
okay,
why
got it.
he's been through the red door. He and Josh have
Has he been
gone
through the green door?
Well, that's a very different movie.
I mean, he's in college now.
Green Door 2.
He's in college, so
There is an interracial relationship in this movie, though.
Touche.
So the red door has been this thing
Hmm.
throughout this franchise, at least for the first two, I think.
I think they did a really good job. So he goes to art class. He has this fancy teacher, and you know she means business because she's telling people to rip up their drawings because they're crap.
Yeah,
and
like
kicking
the one
them
guy,
out of the
the one
class.
guy's like, no.
Yeah, like good for you,
Yeah, I
guy,
worked-
for
I worked
standing
hard
up
on
for your.
that.
Yeah, I'm like that sucks. And Dalton immediately rips his up without her even asking, but she likes that. And anyway, so she has them do these art assignments, and he is like drawn. He doesn't know why, but
Well,
clearly there's something subconscious.
When
that's-
she starts the countdown,
Yeah.
which is what Elise and the other doctor
Oh, it
did.
triggers
So
the-
it's
okay.
it goes somewhere deep in your mind. He does that, and he starts drawing this door.
And I thought it was that was the one moment where I'm not saying like it was jump scare scary, but like close up and intense and him drawing it. I'm like, well, that was filmed well.
And then I think he gets
in
grabbed
a creepy way.
Yeah, he gets grabbed and he cuts his hand, and of course now there's like red,
Which
red
is a really
splotch on the door.
really cool, like creepy imagery with the blood making the door
Yeah,
red.
yeah. So while Dalton is going through all that, Josh is going to doctors and trying to figure stuff out, and they're talking about his memory isn't what it used to be. So like start doing these memory games, which I can't figure out what game he was trying to do.
Trying to play match.
Use match.
Matched the two. He had two copies of everything, and they were in tiles, where each window. And he was trying to say, "Where is Dalton?" and remember where the Dalton card was.
Oh,
Like you'd find one Dalton and then be like, okay, now find him again.
And then he would have to mix them up because he like needed to.
Okay. That's where I was confused. I was like, well, stop mixing them up. Like if you pull up Dalton,
he was like failing and then trying to be like, well, I need to remember the first time or whatever.
I guess.
I mean, you don't really have to mix them up so quickly.
And that's where I think this is a good tension building scare here, where he's lifting up the little panel and there's the guy in the distance.
I like the idea of all that. I think without the score or something, it wasn't effective. I love the idea of seeing something and then a panel going up and then it being gone, and then you're like, is he crazy? Are we seeing things? That can be used really effectively.
Yeah.
But in this film, I'll tell you, I mean, the only thing that was semi-scary was, like you said, the jump. I mean, when he crashed through the window, because I'm like not expecting someone to bowl through. But I don't know. The chase, it seemed not frightening the way he was chasing him up the stairs. Something about it, just the feel of it. It didn't feel like a Hereditary or these. You know what I was thinking from recent times? Was it The Black Phone?
Yeah. Which
That-
I did like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's a
We
slow
mostly
burn.
like it, yeah.
Was that
Scott-
Stephen King or was it
Joe Hill.
Joe Hill.
But
Okay.
it's Scott Derrickson.
And that's a guy that knows how to do that. And so that film is a slow burn. It felt a little slow, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And it's scary and
a good
tension
flick.
filmed. And so you see a movie like this where it just didn't feel creepy. I don't know if it's because it wasn't lit properly, if it wasn't filmed.
And also, this feels where they're definitely, James Wan and Lee Winnell, when Saw and The Conjuring and the first Insidious, and they didn't do Sinister, but like I kind of throw Sinister in with all of this stuff. There's a drive to those guys that I don't feel here.
Yeah. I wish one of them, I mean, Winnell was there. I wish one of them would have kind of been like,
James
hey,
Wan was a producer, so
which here's some money.
Right.
But give me some money. So I wish one of them would have been like, hey, Patrick, you want some tips or something? Like, I just feel like they could have. Those guys are the modern day masters of horror.
I would agree with
Those are the guys making all these movies that are the big like blockbuster horror
that.
movies.
We know you like Malevolent. What's that movie called?
Oh, Malignant?
Malignant,
Heck yeah,
yeah.
I do.
All right.
But those guys know what they're doing, and this movie felt like, again, Patrick Wilson was trying to get a little too artsy-fartsy with it and deep with it, and I don't... You can go into those things, but I think what he forgot to do is make a real creepy, scary
Make a horror movie first.
Yes.
Well, I'm wondering, talking about like The Conjuring 3, because James Wan didn't direct that. So I just wonder if these guys, when they hand their babies over to somebody else, it does just lose something, right? Because like I said, Lee Winnell did Insidious 3. I don't remember who did 4, but there is just something missing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the heart of James Wan and Lee Winnell, to
I
come
don't know.
up, So really,
he has to sneak into a frat party. His dad gives him a flyer. He wants him to go just check it out. He's like, I don't want to go to a
I
frat.
think where he's like, what part of me thinks you look at me?
You don't know
think
me
I
at
want
all.
to be
Like,
in a
yeah,
frat?
it's-
You crazy?
It's a good relationship, exploration of that dynamic, and understandably with the memory loss and the way that Patrick Wilson's been distant, all that's fine. Chris convinces him to go to the frat party. While they're there,
They see that she wants to break into these guys' rooms and just steal their.
so we find out that he sees dead people, basically, right?
That's always kind of been the thing with the further is like once that person has crossed the barrier, like the barrier gets weaker and he can see things in the real world that are crossing over.
So they allude, like they very heavily, very clunkily is like, we don't want another incident, and then someone says rest in peace or whatever, and then so when they're sneaking in the room and he has to hide, we see in the bathroom
This dude puking his guts
the
out.
dead guy
Yeah.
that died at the frat party. Oh man, that was
When
gross.
he was
I'm
like
eating
make
popcorn,
it,
and
when
they're
he goes
like,
when he goes make it stop, I was like, yeah, make it
And
stop.
I'm like, yummy.
But that feels like it's from another movie.
It does.
They've never really done the gross out horror.
It has never been a
this
thing in
franchise.
these. There's been like blood, but nothing.
But
like,
that puke was
no
a
getting
lot.
puked on.
Yeah.
You know,
That was like
Oh, yeah, and then
meaning
it is-
that was like the meaning of life. Monty
it was,
Python
yes.
puke.
That was
That's exactly
ghost
right.
puke. It was the hose behind the head just spewing.
Can't do one more bite.
And the fourth Insidious was directed by the guy who did the escape room movies.
The first one's
First
good.
one's good.
That first escape room
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah, the second
that
one,
second
not so
one
much.
was
Not so good.
I mean, there were some good moments in it, but it didn't recapture.
Yeah, they killed Deborah Ann Wool.
Yeah, see.
really
Well, no, they didn't, right? Because the second one, spoilers, they didn't kill her.
But didn't they kill her in the second one?
See, she knows.
Twix knows.
I have no idea.
That's
But
fine.
the funny, they realized in the first one that was a mistake or whatever. In the second one, she's like, "Hey,
I'm back.
fell and landed on a little platform or
I
whatever."
fell down this 30-foot shaft, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Really what happens is the barrier in their brains are starting to break down. So Dalton realizes what he can do.
He's falling asleep and then realizing he's like walking in the same world, but he's invisible.
Yes,
but
he's
can
a ghost.
interact with things. You want to blow my hooter? That was another line. It was so freaking
Yeah, like was
funny.
like, what?
She was just so funny. But anyway, so he goes later and finds the same keyboard with the, I don't know what that's
And he
called.
put,
but
yeah.
Hooter.
Hooter, apparently.
But he moves it and she wakes up
He
from sleeping.
he plays the song that his mom played,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Hey."
So she knows, and he's
Right.
like, "You a creep?"
Yeah.
He explains it to her, and she kind of just buys it. She's like, "Well, this
Well, I
is-
think when she realizes what he can, when she watches him do it,
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, this is real."
yeah."
So this entire movie is also about how Patrick Wilson never knew his father, and he's like, "My father left, and I've never known my father." Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Well, we
that's the thing. I kept thinking, I'm like, is Patrick Wilson working through some stuff?
He could have been. It's
which
possible.
is fine. But I'm like, the focus on it. It seemed like again he was trying to like work through some stuff and go on this very deep journey of fathers.
I
and-
do
But it
think
just kind of felt like an afterthought.
It-
Yeah.
yes.
in this movie.
I do think that character building is important in horror movies, unless you're doing a Friday the 13th. It's
Very.
not important.
Because why do you care about these people dying? That's the whole thing. You have to care about.
I
the
think in a
characters.
Friday the 13th movie, it's like, how are we going to kill these kids?
Well,
like let's figure this.
that's a different- yeah.
But in something like The Conjuring or Insidious or
Halloween,
Halloween,
even,
like
yeah.
all that stuff it's important to care about these characters. So this entire time he lived with his mom. Apparently, when she got sick, he gets knocked into in the chase scene with the guy that we talked about earlier through the window. He gets knocked into a closet, and this box falls in his
Falls right
lap.
into his lap, literally.
And of course, earlier in the movie, this doctor's like, "Do you have a history of mental illness in your family?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Well,
maybe. Well,
that's
I
not
don't know."
coming back. Good Lord."
Yeah.
So runs through. It goes down to the library, which apparently still has microfiche. And it's
Yeah.
very cool. And
Because
he finds
it's
out.
very old documents.
You don't think that's scanned in somewhere?
Oh, it has not as
Now
dramatic if they scan it in.
Yeah, nowadays it would be in a database.
Yeah, you
but-
just feel like, do. Oh, there it is.
And it's also like his dad's mental health stuff would have like been like from the 80s.
That's true.
Right, like they're acting
70s at the latest.
Right, it's
Right,
not
like
microfiche.
they're acting like this is like an old mental hospital from the 1920s.
Right,
and I'm
right,
like,
right.
I'm like, that Patrick Wilson's character is like 48 years old. Like,
That's a great
Is this
point.
supposed to take place in
I see
modern?
yeah.
This is
current
movie-
day?
I mean, they're
this is
using
current day.
iPhones.
Yeah.
Well, what I wonder when they went to the party, I thought she pulled out a portable camera and took a picture. When she says, "Hey, let's take a picture," something about
no,
it.
it was her phone.
It was a phone.
Yeah.
Because something about it, and that she didn't show it again, so I couldn't tell. But I thought she pulled out one of those, like everyone used to have a digital camera.
Sure.
And took a picture of it that way. And I'm like, wait, what year is this? So I got confused.
I
for a
also
minute.
like that where he sends the picture to his dad. And he's like, "I went to the frat party,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Okay."
So
He's trying.
Yeah, he's trying.
But yeah, I'm seeing this more and more in movies where they're like they like go back in time and like and they're
Get rid of
showing you
technology.
like this antiquated thing, and I'm like,
not-
bitch, it's 2006.
Yeah,
Like if you do the math, it's 2006.
Right,
Like,
right.
It's not that long ago.
We're feeling so old. The things that kids say, I know that sounds old, but seriously, the things online where kids were like, "You used to do that" or whatever
Yeah.
from the early 2000s.
Did you
like what?
Friend of the show, Kelly Mano. Did you see her thing that went viral?
Yeah.
No, what was it?
So this guy was like, "Wait, you're telling me that you just drank from a hose? You didn't know, but whatever." And of course she stitches it, and she was like, "Look, our parents didn't even know we were alive." Like they had to put a thing at the end of the news to remind our parents that they had children.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
That's
That was
exactly
the
it.
thing. Yeah.
So he kind of like rips this guy apart for,
Yeah.
yes, we all drank from the hose. Dalton crosses over and he gets too close and he unlocks and gets captured by the red-faced demon again. So Patrick Wilson realizes this ghost that he's been seeing is the ghost of his father, and he also could astral project, and everybody just thought he was crazy. So he was admitted to a mental hospital and he committed suicide.
We don't have as an open and accepting philosophy about astral projection.
That's true.
Back then, like we do today. Mm-hmm. Today, it's
Commonplace.
it's your astral, your choice.
You have Elise talking to a college group of people, like a college class about astral projection. Everybody's like, yeah, man, that's legit.
No, that was weird. I have a question for you. So in this movie, it seems like when the dead people, the spirits, the ghosts, whatever they are, when they interact with you, it's not really happening because that ghost vomits in his face and then he's like, oh, and he looks crazy. Like there's nothing going on.
Like when you walk into a spider web.
Yeah. So
God, that's the worst. Oh,
so did the dad actually?
Yeah, pretty much goes walking into spider webs, racism,
ghost vomit,
rape, ghost vomit.
Seems right.
Talk about. Sorry, I'm not home right now. Leave a message and I'll call you back. Voice machines.
Yeah.
Voicemail box, like physical ones. So when the dad crashes through the window, is that really happening? Can they interact with real things?
So what the ghosts are
he
trying
moves the keyboard, so
that's true.
So where do they pick and choose? Are you
I think
really?
that's the problem.
Yes.
That is a big old
Because
problem.
I don't know the rules. I watched the movie. I'm like, so can they really affect things? Because Dalton can, so the ghosts are...
I think Dalton can because he's real.
Okay. But all the other stuff is just scary. So can they actually hurt you, or are they just messing with your
So
mind?
what they're doing is these ghosts that are going after Dalton are trying to suck the life force out of Dalton so that they can cross over, which is what we see later, right? When Dalton gets possessed by the red-faced demon, that's what he's trying to do. And that's what, in the second movie, that's the whole point, is that this thing that has
so
been...
they can possess you if they take your...
This thing that has been following Josh this entire movie has taken possession.
Okay.
But the problem is Josh's body can't contain it. So like throughout the movie, Josh is deteriorating, like he's pulling his own teeth out, like his body is breaking down. So that's what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Long story short, we just get a replay of 1. That's what the end of this movie is, just a redo of 1 where Josh figures out what's going on. Rose Byrne's like, hey, you know how you feel all foggy and stuff, and I could have answered these questions for you 9 years ago, but I didn't. By the way, I will say the
funny story. You're gonna
laugh. This is real funny. The guy that he sees in the very beginning of the movie, where he's like, "Hey, don't I know you?" at the funeral. That's the doctor that from part 2.
Right, and they show him in the beginning.
Oh, that's right. They
so
do. I was thinking that
a
was
replay.
Elise, but it's not Elise.
They show the replay thing.
They've already killed Elise.
Yeah, that scene with the doctor in the classroom thing. She's like, "Ha, hey guys, welcome to my class," and then they cut, and she's like, "There's a very serious thing about astral." It's a very weird.
Do you know who she is in real life?
Who is she?
So, do you know who Bob Shaye is?
Yeah,
that's his sister.
Okay.
So,
who's Bob Shaye?
Bob Shaye was like the guy that created New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like Freddy and all that stuff is all Bob Shaye.
Can she not walk anymore?
No, I think she can. She's old. I mean, she's old.
She's old. I mean, because there's like, she's in the movie for like 3 minutes,
right?
And the one
sitting
scene,
and standing.
she sits the entire time, and the other thing, she stands there but does not move.
That is true. She is
any
very
way, shape, or form.
Like rigid. Yeah. Maybe,
but is she in horror stuff?
She is very like. Yes, anything that was produced by New Line, Lynn Shaye had a part.
Yeah.
Go watch the first Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
I know she's.
I know she's a horror. I'm guessing it's the writing. I mean, I don't know.
It is the writing
because it's just weird. In the editing, that's another thing where it's like the scenes just didn't. Whatever she was doing was not working. It was weird. I was getting weird vibes.
Yeah, she is really good in. I think she's good in the first 4. Like 1 and 2.
They give her nothing to do here.
Nothing.
Like she's just here because
they want some fan service.
Because
exactly
people like seeing her because of the other movie.
So that's what. Yeah, because she sticks out. Like she's so shoehorned into this, and then it's like, look who this is.
Right.
And I'm like, what? What are we doing here?
It was
very weird.
So Josh, of course, goes into the further, pulls Dalton out again, and what I thought they were going to do, and I was like, this is kind of interesting, was that the demon was pushing against the red door, and rather than having it's a hero's journey, right? So Josh is just saying, you go, and I thought the end of this movie was Josh holding the door, Hodor, if you will, and that's how and Josh was going to die, and he was, Patrick Wilson was going to die, and his sacrifices, he's blocking this door.
They're never going to completely cut off the option for sequels.
Oh, there was an end credit. There was a post-credit sequence.
Was there?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't stick around.
I only did because I looked it up, and I was like,
Gotcha.
well, all right, I'll see what it is.
Isn't there a light on or something?
So basically, Dalton gets out, and they realize Dalton, I guess, decides to just paint it
Paint it black, right? That's why at the end of the movie, I'm like, so the whole thing's just based on
Paint It Black.
I saw a red door and I
which
want
is
to paint it black.
one of the best Rolling Stone songs.
And they
ever.
could
I love
not
that song.
afford that song.
Oh hell
They're
no!
not-
It would be a
No.
little on the nose.
I mean, for this movie,
But yeah, and basically that's literally what they were doing. So I'm like,
Right.
You know, they wanted to.
oh yeah, you know, in before it got done, before they put the score on, he was like,
Patrick Wilson's like, how much
You
does
know,
that cost?
this movie wouldn't use the Rolling Stones version. They'd use one of those like creepy, slowed down horror movie.
you mean like the song at the end of this movie?
Yeah.
The song "Stay" by Ghost.
Yeah.
like it's covered by
and
Ghost.
Patrick Wilson?
So where is he in that song?
He's the one going, I stay.
No, it's not.
Yes, it has to be. I think that was his voice. Yeah. He's going, stay.
That's
so he directs it. He stars in it. He sings the song.
He can sing. Like we see him sing in. He can for real.
Okay.
Like in The Conjuring 2.
But this dude's like, I am going to do everything in this movie. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe you should have focused.
I'm gonna
on-
get 4 paychecks.
He's the best boy.
Yeah.
So Josh, I'm sorry, Dalton paints the door.
fluffer.
Yeah, hey, that's behind the green door. Paints the door black, and of course that seals the door shut.
Of course.
Bring Josh out. Everybody's happy.
So they're getting in through his painting. He drew the thing in the blood
No,
and that opened it.
the painting unlocked the stuff in Dalton's brain. So it started to
So by
like
him
break
sealing
down.
it, his brain is sealed. There's a connection between the.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
I don't know
That's
what
the
happened.
bottom. That's the
I
bottom line.
Literally don't know what happened in this
Your
movie.
ending should have been Josh holding the door. That should have been the ending. Is he stays behind because they even play it where like his body dies, like, and Rose Byrne's like, "Hey, you all right there, bud?" Oh, his heartbeat stopped. So he comes back out, goes, and helps Dalton. And this scene was very touching where the middle of Dalton's wall is a really impressive picture of Josh carrying Dalton
From, like, the first
from the
movie?
first movie,
Yeah.
carrying him out. And I was like, that's a
Remember that good movie?
Yeah.
yeah. We've always said like don't harken back to better
Oh,
stuff.
man.
And I do like that. I like that the blocks are gone. They remember everything.
Don't go to that therapist. Watch out. Don't,
Yeah.
don't let anyone take you to a hypnist.
And then we talked about it where she's like, you can come over early and stay for dinner. He's like, we're back together, baby.
He goes, this lady's like, I knew your mom.
Which is true. Like that in the second movie, we find out that Barbara Hershey's character, Josh's mom, does get in contact with Elise, and Elise was actually the one that put the block in the first time because Josh was being followed by the bride from 2. If you ever, watching 1 and 2 back to back is great.
They're great.
It's so well done. And then he's like, "Do you live here?" "I hope so."
Yeah.
What?
And then she just does a weird. She's just like, "I'll be seeing. You're going to be great at whatever. Keep." It's just she does. And he's like, "What are you talking about, lady?"
Although,
But like, if the
will
block
say,
is down, he should know who she is.
yeah.
He should know who she is.
Did they pull the block down all the way for
maybe
him?
Not. Maybe not.
I don't know that they did for him.
What are the rules?
Yeah.
I don't really.
But,
I don't know.
But I guess I do like the idea of normally horror movies end with that last moment of like the ghost or something
It's back.
evil coming
Yeah.
back. And
Crash.
in this case, you have the ghost come back to say something positive.
That's true.
Like
That's
I thought,
fair.
I was like, that's a nice.
Oh, with
little
the dad. The dad.
No, with her because she's dead.
Elise.
Oh,
Elise
she's
is-
dead.
she's
Yeah,
dead.
Elise is a ghost.
She dies in the first one.
Oh, and that's why she
Yeah.
disappears. 'Cause
Yes.
she's, I got it. Okay.
She's not Batman.
I know. I was just. I know, but I
hate when he does that.
I forgot. It's been a while since
I just wanted this to end.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking questions.
wasn't.
But
I just wanted it over.
The last at the end credits is
But the dad does something nice too, right? He sees his dad that he never knew, and
and he's just
They
like
have a catch.
sorry, I crashed through your window and scared you. I should have maybe just said like, "Hey, I'm your dad," but no.
no. He picks up his box of memories. Is like, cool, thanks, and disappears.
Sometimes you would send me a birthday card with a $5 bill.
But the light goes back on over the red door.
That's
and that's how it ends.
course.
That's the Yeah, this is this franchise, whether it's The Conjuring or Insidious or even Sinister, which I think are the 3 big current like horror franchises because we don't.
Saw.
When was the last time we had a Saw movie though?
Like
2
18
years
months
ago. Matt.
with Chris
Rock.
Rock.
On,
Yeah.
and now a new one's coming out.
We Saw 10 is coming.
Yeah.
Along with The Exorcist. Did you see that?
No.
By David Gordon Green.
Oh well,
It's a legacy sequel. I'm not even making this up.
it's a
Yes.
sequel. Oh.
And they're bringing back the
Well,
mom.
don't let him make more than one. He can make one. He makes one really good movie, legacy sequel, and then he does crap ones.
I just think like those 3 franchises, they can 1 and 2 good
But
stuff.
they all do this, right? I mean, this happens with every horror
it
when
does.
they keep
It's
going.
so-
It's
have you
just-
ever-
diminishing returns.
Have you ever heard of the business theory called the Peter Principle?
No.
And it
sounds familiar.
And it's the idea that you are promoted to the level of your incompetence. Right?
Okay.
So it's like if you're
got
really
promoted.
good at assistant manager, then they promote you to manager. And if you're really good at manager, then they promote you to regional manager. And then if you suck at regional manager, they don't bump you back down to manager that you were really good at. They just kind of leave you as regional manager because you've been so good up till now. That's horror movies.
I just got promoted.
Yeah. Well,
Crap.
I'm worried. I hope they give them more time on the next Scream
I hope-
and let them
oh,
because
but
it's like
I
that-
feel like all horror movies do that. They
It
just
is-
keep making them until they stop making money. And I think this
Right.
one had a really good weekend.
Did it? Which
I
is
thought so.
And I got to tell you, this. I was looking at the numbers a little bit. This summer has sucked. Like there is with
too
Spider.
saturated.
That's exactly what it
Too
is.
saturated.
Spider-Verse did really well. Guardians did really well.
But I will say though, but we used to get, in the summer, this time of year, we would get 2 or maybe 3 big movies in the same weekend. And now
Is that right?
Yeah, and now we can't even because
I feel like they didn't used to compete that much. It
But
was
I
like
thought they were-
different demos.
I thought they were different
They would go
demos.
after different demos, but you'd get one big action movie followed by a big comic book movie followed by the next big action movie.
I think it's just people they finally just got back to the theaters and they're like, but I'm not back every week. is the
Well, I
problem.
think
It's-
that's what it is.
They've developed
different
new,
time.
They've developed new habits.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can't release one big movie now a week or 2 or 3 a week because people are not going to go every week and they're not going to go to more than one a week, and so they're going to say, and then movies are out in 4 weeks.
That's
on
what it
streaming.
is.
Now they
When
announce the movie comes out
Flash
for 1 week, and then they say, oh, it's going to be on VOD in
The
3
Flash
weeks.
is out next week.
But it's like they tell them the dumbest thing they could possibly do, I think, and clearly they have numbers and they must think they're doing something right, but they tell you when it's going to hit VOD, and it's a very short window. So it used to be 3 months, and then it was like 2 months, and now it's 30 to 45 days depending on the studio. Most are 45, and I think WB worked out a thing where it's 30. It's 4 weeks.
Is that right?
And it's like that's people can wait. First of all, there's unlimited things to watch on every stream. You can never be bored. You can never say, oh, I don't have something to watch. Like, if anything, there's just too much.
There is.
And you're just like, I got to turn it off because there's too
I have to
much.
wait for seasons to wrap up.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I don't watch anything live anymore. There's no way. Why would I waste my time and then be like, not remember week to week and have to wait where it's like, no, I'll do something else.
I will say,
and binge it.
I did Ted Lasso week to week.
Did you?
That show's amazing.
I'm behind. I didn't start
so
that
wonderful.
last season was.
You didn't like it?
No.
Oh, I did like it.
I don't
a
like
lot.
that all of a sudden it became an hour-long prestige drama.
That's fair.
Like, I was just like, these are too long. I was dreading watching them.
Oh man, I really did enjoy this.
I haven't
last
started
season.
season 3 yet.
I liked it a lot, but I don't disagree with you.
I like Ted. Hot take. I'm not like a Ted Lasso super fan. I don't get I think it's way overhyped.
Interesting.
I enjoyed the first season and a half, and then took a break, and then finally finished the second. It's fine, but I didn't get the boost that people were like, "Oh, I just love Ted Lasso so much." I don't
It
know.
just
It's okay.
it felt good.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Best episode I saw was the one that didn't feel like a Ted Lasso episode, and the guy goes on that crazy nightclub journey thing.
That's a great episode.
Oh my god, that brought me back where I'm like, oh, now that is what I want to see. That was so crazy.
There's talk that they're coming back without him.
Beard?
Without Lasso.
Without Lasso.
Oh, okay.
no.
yeah.
Beard,
I see.
Beard is like
Basically
one of the-
everybody but Ted
Okay.
Lasso.
Yes.
Where Coach Beard goes on that crazy thing where he keeps falling. You know what it reminded me of was After Hours, that Scorsese
Yeah,
movie.
it
Yeah.
certainly had that
I love
vibe, yeah.
I love After Hours. I always say that's the hidden gem that no one has
Criterion.
seen of Scorsese.
Barnes and Noble right now, 50% off.
That's on Criterion? Okay. The Coach Beard episode is like After Hours, and he just keeps falling into more and more crap.
great.
And
It's
it's
very
so
good.
funny. And I had bought the Funko Pop because it was an exclusive, and I liked Ted Lasso, so I'm like, oh, I'll get this, and I hadn't seen the episode, and now I'm like, oh, I have that, and it's him with the funny, like, her pants on, the sequined whatever.
When he shows up on the bus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good episode.
Well, and this is projected to make $18 to $23 million this weekend. It made $15 million opening day, including Thursday previews.
$10 million foot rub and a bomb pop.
Do they have the budget?
It's $16 million.
That's
according to
about right.
So, I mean, we always say, like, if they can keep it around the 10 million, obviously this has some big names, and Patrick Wilson's doing 10 roles, so he must have got
Oh, I'm sorry. He said it was projected to make 18 to 23 million, and now it's been bumped to it's estimated to make 31 million this weekend.
Hey, that's a win.
God, which I can't imagine that the second week is going to even be a blip,
No.
because everyone that saw it,
Well,
went
and then
to
next
see it.
week is...
Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And then that's going to be everybody.
If I got to
the
hear
world.
about how Tom Cruise saved
Oh,
cinema
you're gonna keep
one
hearing
more
it because
goddamn
that's
time.
people are like, he's doing it. The last
That movie looks ridiculous. I'm just gonna, I'm
Are you pumped?
stoked to see
Yeah.
that movie. Yes.
Well,
but
here's the thing. We talked about this. Indiana Jones, fun movie, felt like Indiana Jones. I liked the character stuff. The action stuff doesn't work for me.
that's what Paul Harris was like. I just when I saw him back to back.
They film every single thing on that. I always forget it when I come to this show. The volume. The volume. They film everything on their LED wall, right? Because they don't have to go on location, and green screen creates problems with reflecting on your skin and clothes and whatever. So they now just project it on an LED wall. But the thing is it looks like the Ricky and Lucy driving, a very updated version, because you can tell it's a video wall. The light, it just doesn't match. They can do some really cool technical things, but everything is filmed on that now, and I'm so sick of seeing it because
I heard Tom Cruise jumps into a jet like engine in this one.
All right.
Yeah. One can only hope.
Yeah, I was going to say, but anyway, there's still people out there doing practical effects, and so with Maverick and Kaczynski and McQuarrie and these Mission Impossible movies, and obviously George Miller, hopefully he'll make that Furiosa movie soon. There's still people doing it, but it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I hope we don't get to a point where like studios are just like, yeah, we're not making anything with practical, and it's
I feel the same way about makeup.
Yeah.
Like those guys like K&B and all those, Tom Savini, those guys, Rick Baker, like those
like
are
different.
Those are
different
things
breed.
that you'll never get back.
Look at Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and James Gunn puts all those animal creatures practical effects. Like, there's still people keeping it alive, but it's like that flickering light.
It's not going to be
and
around
I
much
hope
longer.
if it goes out, and then kids won't know, right? I know we sound old, but kids will just be like, yeah, it looks like a movie. Every movie looks like that, and it's just going to become the new norm. And I don't want to watch stuff that looks like it's a video wall behind it. I don't. For the TV shows, it makes sense. Smaller budget, they can't do all the practical stuff.
Right.
But when they're doing their movies on all the video walls, and
You got to
stuff,
have
it's
something to differentiate from the TV.
That's
show.
exactly it.
Right?
And they they want to push streaming because it's like they get all that money and all that, right? And they're not sharing it with theaters, so they're trying to make everything like that, and it just
Doesn't work.
Much like this movie.
Yeah, diminishing returns on this. Like 1 and 2, absolutely astounding. 3 and 4, definitely worth the watch. You could skip this one. Just consider part 2 the end of Josh and Dalton. That's
If you want to know what happened to him, just go read the Wikipedia plot.
that's right. Yeah,
Maybe watch the scenes with Chris. They're funny.
that's fine. Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at Joey Butts, BUTTS21. Also on Letterboxd at the same.
All right. This is Kevin. You can follow me on Twitter at Kevin R. Brackett, and I think on Threads at Kevin R. Brackett. I think it's the same.
Oh, nice.
And this is Tom. You can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at Facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at Facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon, Patreon.com/Real Spoilers. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, Cuesta Verde is built on an Indian burial ground.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you.